Welcome back to the Story Lab. Today we are looking at the famous movie Independence Day, as well as its 2015 sequel. Clearly, this story was never finished. The sequel left open the possibility for a third movie or even a series to conclude the story. Today, we are going to do exactly that. A third Independence Day movie to complete the trilogy. Let's go back to the end of the second movie and see where the story left us off. During that movie, the planet Earth was quite badly beaten, but in the end was victorious once more. However, this time it was very close. In fact, there is a giant hole in the Earth's crust from the drilling that took place, and the assessment is that Earth cannot handle much more of this. Luckily, humanity has encountered the Sphere, an extraterrestrial entity that has gifted humans technology for interstellar warfare. Naturally, we also just got to meet a new team of heroes. Over on the alien side, we now learned that they wanted to extract Earth's core, though in the first movie, they had wanted to colonize Earth first and extract all of its resources. However, they have now been beaten twice. So, the question is for our new movie, will they try again? Certainly, the aliens would have to face the Sphere's resistance first. Luckily, we also learned how they can be stopped, as killing the Queen always removes the danger the aliens pose. Okay, those are some great points to build upon. But for this project, we will also need some ground rules. First, the third movie should not just be a war movie but have an interesting plot and character stories. Second, the third movie shall be about Earth and humanity gaining freedom, not take place in space or be about aliens. Also, the new heroes from the second movie are all fighters and would be on the front lines of the war. Thus, in order to tell a story on Earth, it will have to be set after the interstellar war that was teased at the end of the second movie. With that out of the way, let's put together our ingredients. The interstellar war is won. The harvesters are no threat at the beginning of the movie. Earth is still rebuilding but is also using its interstellar drive to found colonies on other planets. The technological level of humanity has been upgraded once more, but not to the point of complete science fiction, akin to the step up between the first and second movies. The hole in Earth's crust has to be investigated. A new giant enslaving danger has to appear that is somehow linked to the harvesters. Gaining freedom from this new danger is the struggle of the movie. The themes of the first two movies shall still be present. What about our new characters? Obviously, they would be influenced heavily by the interstellar war in between movies. Jake Morrison used to be a hotshot. Now, after fighting a war at the front lines, he is more calm and a leader. His friend Charlie used to be funny and innocent. He is no more, now that he has experienced a war. He may be traumatized. But Trisha Whitmore is both a fighter and a caring person. She would not join in a brainless adventure, but very much be at the right place at the right time to save the day. Dylan Hiller was already a great leader before the interstellar war. Now, he could be on the way to become president. The older generation of heroes, as far as they are still left, have moved on and are now working on establishing interstellar relations and colonies. With that, we are almost ready to mix our movie together. But before we do, let's think about the backstory for a moment. As hinted at before, the backstory was not fully consistent over the first two movies. The harvester aliens have come to Earth at least 3 times. 1, when they abducted humans. 2, when they tried to invade and colonize. 3, when they came to extract the planet's core. Abductions make sense if colonization was the end goal, but not if extracting the core was the idea from the beginning. On the other hand, extracting the core seems to be what they do to other planets. But then, why did they come to Earth in the second movie, when they could have just extracted the core of any planet? We can answer these questions by adding the following ingredients to our story. The first ship must have discovered something on Earth that they wanted for themselves, which is why colonizing was their goal. The second ship reacted to the first signal, trying to extract what they had found and remove the human threat at the same time. If that was the case, the two ships did not start drilling to extract the core, but to find whatever it was they were looking for. Let's put all of this together. A story on Earth investigating the hole in the crust. A story after the interstellar war, with all of the characters changed by the experiences therein. A more complex backstory for the Harvester's intentions with Earth. A theme of gaining independence. A theme of human ingenuity and mind winning over raw power. We analyzed the mixture in our lab, and look, we already have the results for you. The third Independence Day movie, Independence Day, Freedom. The movie opens with the last battle of the interstellar war. It is fought right at the central planet of the Harvester aliens, an overcrowded world covered in alien hive cities and protected by huge weapons installments. We meet our heroes as they lead a charge in starfighters, breaking through the defense grid and going down to the planet. However, the aliens' defensive positions damage all fighters. The beautiful Chinese pilot Rian is shot down, much to Charlie's shock. Charlie himself tries to fly after her and lands in an alien housing area. Alone, struck with grief and panic, he murders all aliens that come to look at him, men, women, and children. Meanwhile, Jake, Dylan and Patricia manage to land near the spaceport. They find a city destroyer ship and manage to lift off with it. They fly over the city's central structure and use the main weapon, destroying the core of the alien city much like the Harvesters had done with New York, Los Angeles etc. in the first movie. From there a time jump occurs. It is a year later and everyone is celebrating the victory. We learn that the aliens' primary queen had been located beneath the city and that the human forces had been able to kill that super queen, thus ending the threat of the Harvesters. Now normality is starting to return to Earth. A new Mrs. President has just been elected and Dylan is now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. We also meet a new main character, Jeffrey Brand. Jeffrey is a scientist who has built a hover platform that he intends to take down the hole in the Earth's crust to see what is beneath. He asks Jake Morrison to come along and help him with this frankly dangerous mission. At first Jake hesitates because his wife Patricia is pregnant, but she lets him go, so Jake takes the job. He has one more condition though: Jeffrey must also take Charlie along. We learn that Charlie is quite a broken man these days, still unable to cope with the horrors of the war and the mass murder that he himself had conducted in his rage. He hasn't done anything in the past year, and seems to have lost all purpose in life. Jake intends to rejuvenate him, by taking him along on Jeffrey's mission. Charlie does not fight against it. Thus, they all travel with Jeffrey's team of scientists to the center of the Atlantic and lower themselves into the gaping hole. After a precarious first few miles through the crust, they start to discover strange energy readings. They lower themselves further. As they analyze the readings more closely, they realize that they are similar to the Harvester's technology. Finally, they discover a large cavern in the middle of the crust. They do not know what it is, so they send a team, headed by Jake and Jeffrey, into the cavern. Meanwhile, the other scientists realize that whole artificial structure looks like an egg. Jeffrey and Jake reach the center of the cavern and are baffled by what they find. It is a Harvester super queen. She is asleep and connected to the artificial structure around it. Talking to Charlie and the other scientists, they realize that this queen egg must have been placed here very early in the planet's history, meaning this queen had been growing underneath the surface of Earth the entire time. No wonder that the aliens had been drawn to the planet. The team decides to call the president and the military to tell them about their discovery. Everyone agrees that this huge queen is a great danger and that she has to be destroyed. The team is asked to disconnect the queen's connections to its egg and killing her. A fusion bomb is lowered into hole for that purpose. The team does as they are told, but the inevitable happens: the queen is woken up. As soon as the queen opens her eyes, a scary change overcomes all humans. With the massive telepathic abilities of the Super Queen now at work, she enslaves most of humanity at once, except for the team right next to her, because they are protected by the egg. As the team realizes what has happened, they realize that the Super Queen had subconsciously been connected with the human race her entire life, thus making humans her hive species. Luckily, she wasn't strong enough to control the entire world right away. The Queen of course feels as well that she doesn't have everyone under control. So, she orders her slaves to go and kill anyone not under her control. The free humans react accordingly, and a planetary-wide aerial battle of humans against humans begins. But Patricia, sitting alone in her house, has a strong mind. Despite all odds, she manages to throw off the shackles of the Queen, freeing herself from the influence of the Queen. Quickly, Patricia drives to the White House and finds the people there also fighting against the influence. Patricia manages to free Dylan and then implores him to contact the military and order them to stand down before humanity is lost. Dylan doesn't feel strong enough at first, but Patricia convinces him to speak to his men. Then Dylan does so and gives a new rousing speech to all soldiers, telling them to free themselves from the oppression of the Queen and claim their independence. And indeed, many of the humans can free themselves and stop firing on their brethren. But not all. Meanwhile, the Super Queen has climbed out through the hole in the crust, now emerging from the planet in her whole terrifying size. Jake, Jeffrey, Charlie, and their team were nearly killed when the Queen stood up, but managed to save themselves and the fusion bomb for now. The Super Queen now has more direct control of the humans she still has under her command. The free and newly freed humans see no choice but to attack and kill the Super Queen, which is perilous though, because the closer they come, the more influence the Queen would have over them. The situation is further complicated by an Earth colony ship appearing over the planet, telling everyone that they would have to destroy Earth if the Queen was not stopped. A new battle begins, the free humans against the giant Queen and her puppets. Dylan leads the charge against the Queen himself, but it seems impossible to get past her armor and her great mental powers. They only manage to slowly force the Queen back into the hole in the crust. There, still trapped in the Queen's egg, Jake decides that he will try and kill the Queen with the fusion bomb by using a part of their destroyed hover platform to reach her and ignite the bomb right then and there. Despite the protests of Jeffrey and the scientists, Jake begins to rise toward the Queen with the fusion bomb. But as soon as he loses control and is mentally enslaved by the Queen. The Queen almost destroys Jake, but a lucky accident lets him press the decent button, saving his life and bringing him back to the underground egg. It is clear that none of the team members could have the mental strength to oppose the Queen, thus all hope seems lost. But then, suddenly, Charlie steps up. He takes the bomb and rises back towards the Queen. Having finally overcome his trauma, he has gained the mental strength to resist the Queen and manages to detonate the bomb right underneath her, sacrificing himself. The Super Queen is killed and the colony ship flies away again. A rescue operation manages to recover Jeffrey, Jake, and company, and now, Earth is finally free. Please note that everything presented here is simply the results of an experiment. No part of this presentation is intended as a correction of an existing story or claims to be the real story. The selection or omission of any parts of the source material is not to be understood as commentary, positive or negative, on the original productions. These are simply thoughts and experiments based on existing material, and none of it could be created without the work of all those involved in creating the original works. As with any scientific result, you may utilize any of the story ideas that resulted from these experiments for your own experiments or production, while citing this experiment as its source. It is now closing time for our lab. Goodbye until next time.